Welcome to this review of Singapore Airlines flying from Singapore's Changi International Airport to London Heathrow. Flight time approximately 14 hours. In this review we'll be looking at Singapore Airlines flagship lounge, takeoff, seat tour, dining including book the cook, bed mode, the washroom, and finally landing and summary. I've just arrived to Singapore from Bangkok on the A350-900. You can check out the review on my channel. First up, I'm heading to the flagship lounge. Time to jump on the buggy and get chauffeur driven to the lounge. For those of you who are new to my channel or don't know me, I am 99% blind. I do all my own filming and editing. I would really appreciate your support. If you like this video, click the thumbs up and consider subscribing to see more content about travel, luxury and vegan lifestyle. Arriving at the lounge around 10 PM, I didn't expect it to be so busy, but boy was I wrong. As the night went on, it just got busier and busier. It was very difficult to find even a seat. As a result, I couldn't take too many photos, and here are a few photos of the less busy areas. They have a bartender service from 5:30 PM until 1 AM, and I wanted to see what champagne do they have and taste it. So I went over to the bar to have a look. This bartender was very friendly and chatty. He poured me a glass of their champagne, which is called Jacquard Mosaic. I've never heard of it and I didn't think much of it. I drank about half the glass and left it. I was pleasantly surprised to find that they have Courvoisier XO, and of course I have to have a few glasses of those. Before we look at the food, here's a quick look at the cocktail menu. Food is ordered by scanning a QR code at your table and then collecting it from the relevant counter. Here is a look at the menu and all of the dishes available. If you have no dietary requirements, there is plenty of choice and probably a bit more in this lounge than most other lounges. If you're vegetarian, there are also a few options available. Being 99% blind, the chef very kindly showed me all the different dishes available. From what he said, it sounded like there was no vegan dishes available, so I asked him if he could check. He went into the back, spoke to a few people, came back and said yes, there is a dish available. There's only one option available for a vegan. I couldn't believe it was one option only. That's very poor. Well, I thought it would be at least quite substantial. It turned out to be just a plate of noodles, literally just noodles. No vegetables, nothing else. It was so boring and bland. In most other lounges, they've always asked what can they make me if I'm hungry, but here they didn't ask anything. They just said, this is what we have and that's it. That wasn't the service I expected from Singapore Airlines, particularly from their flagship lounge. Anyway, it was time for boarding and I'm heading to my gate. As mentioned in the introduction, today we are flying on the Boeing 777-300. As always, I received a very warm welcome and was shown to my seat. This flight was leaving at 1:10 in the morning. There were no socks or slippers in my seat, so I requested these so that as soon as we've taken off, I can swap my socks and trainers for their socks and slippers. Let's now look at my seat. Today I had a window seat which is 12K. The style of this seat is very similar to that on the A380-800. You can check out my review of that on my channel. There's a small compartment here that contains your water bottle, headphones and a care kit, and just above that you can see the handheld controller for your IFE. There was no amenity kit at the seat, nor was it provided later. I'm sure I could have got this if I requested it, but as I already had one, I wasn't too bothered. You can check the amenity kit on my other videos. The care kit contains 3 items: a hand sanitizer, a face mask and a disinfectant wipe. Here you'll see my plug plugged into the universal power outlet, and to the right you can charge your devices via USB and attach other cables. One of the USB sockets weren't working properly. You plug it in and it would stop working after a few seconds, but the other one worked fine. You have a light above and on both sides of the seat. On the left of your in-flight entertainment screen is a coat hook, and the monitor itself you can tilt downwards by pressing this button. Given you sleep in a diagonal position, I also tried to see if the screen would move left or right, but it doesn't. To the right of the screen, hidden under this panel, is a mirror. On my previous flight, I logged into the Kris Flyer account and saved some programs to my playlist on my profile. I wanted to then see if I come on this flight whether I could A, access it, and B, whether the playlist would still be the same. I didn't realise it wasn't a touchscreen, and when I asked the flight attendant for help, she didn't immediately help me, came back later, but as it was after takeoff, we couldn't get back to the login screen, which is disappointing. Just before you check in online, you can look at the menu and also use Book the Cook service. Here's a look at the menu. If you plan on using Book the Cook service, I recommend that you do this at least about 1 week before your flight. The selection is quite vast, but there is no vegan options available. All airlines have the opportunity to improve for food choice for vegans. Singapore Airlines is no exception. Like most large companies, airlines included, they are all trying to be more environmentally friendly, and as such, whilst on board, you have 2 options to access the menu. These are both digital forms using your mobile or tablet device. You can either use the Wi-Fi to connect, which for me failed on the A380 and also failed on this aircraft. I didn't try it on the 350. The second option is to scan a QR code, which either the crew can provide or you can scan the back of your boarding pass. The digital menu is very easy to navigate. At the top you have headings, and if you go back 1 step you can then click on beverages, and again you got headings at the top. On the right of the screen you'll see the crew providing my dinner. On the left of the screen I'll run through the menu for dinner, including snacks and beverages. Food is served on a tray and begins with the starters followed by the main course. I found it a bit strange that they gave the dessert and also the bread roll with the starter. My starter was a salad, which is mainly consisting of tomato and lettuce. It was quite boring, and this brings me back to my original point. The choice of food for vegans is quite poor. I'm not much of a dessert person, but I wanted to try it, so I gave a couple of bites, wasn't that impressed, and I gave it back. Anyway, the main course arrived. This is an oriental dish made up of tofu, noodles and some oriental vegetables. It also had a sauce on there which tasted very fishy. It's not something that I was used to, especially being vegan. I honestly thought that it was a fish sauce on there. I asked the crew to double check whether it is suitable for a vegan. They very kindly checked, and they told me it is suitable for a vegan, so I tried a couple more bites, but the sauce was so off-putting that I had to leave it. When I gave it back, the crew was so concerned, and they asked if they can give me anything else. I said maybe some snacks. The snack choice unfortunately wasn't great for a vegan, so I ended up just having some nuts and a few glasses of Courvoisier before going to sleep. Going forward, I think I would have to choose the airline I fly very carefully. Some airlines are better in catering for vegans than others, of course, and it's those airlines I think I would fly. I paid a lot of cash for this ticket, and given that the food on board isn't amazing for vegans and also the lounge was very poor, it's not really worth it. I might as well fly economy or premium economy. Of course, I want to try the first class suites, and I hope that when I do, the food is better. We'll now finish looking at the menu, but if this doesn't interest you, feel free to skip forward to the next section. On the 777 is very similar to that on the A380. When I flew the A380, I didn't manage to sleep, particularly as it was in a diagonal position and I wasn't used to that. But on this flight I did get a good few hours. I managed to sleep in a straight line but in a diagonal position and had quite a good sleep. For reference, I'm 5'9", and I think if you're about 5'10" or 5'11", you should still be able to have a good sleep. On the right hand side, I'll be showing you the crew serving my breakfast, and on the left, I'll put up the digital menu available whilst on board. You can't use book the cook service as this only applies for serving your main course with your dinner or lunch. The crew very thoughtfully kept the sauce on the side when serving the oriental breakfast, which is a nice touch given that I thought the first meal had fish sauce. On some of my previous videos, I've filmed the washroom quite early on in the flight, therefore it was always clean. So this time I waited about 3 or 4 hours before filming, and when I visited the washroom it was still nice and clean. It's not too big, it's not too small, decent size. There are some basic amenities, but there are no toothbrushes, but I presume you can get these on request. Barring the issue with the food, the flight was very pleasant and the crew were very nice and helpful. I quite enjoyed it, and I don't normally sleep on a flight, and I was really pleased that I got a few hours of sleep. However, I don't think I'll fly the business class again unless I get a free upgrade, but I will try the first class suites at some point in the future. I hope you enjoyed the review, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like videos about travel, luxury or vegan lifestyle, please subscribe. It's nice to be back at home in London, and it's finally time to say bye-bye to the wonderful crew.
Thank you.
有นี่ทำใหม่เลย